Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. On today's video, we're going to be looking at the wish list and looking at the heroes that are within here, guys. Now, this has changed kind of consistently as we've been seeing a lot of new heroes. So I'm going to run through the heroes that I did put in this wish list. Now, this is kind of based on a newer account. Now, this is the old school power level account. We actually went 24 chapters in, I believe it was 3 weeks, probably a little less than 3 weeks. Overall, we made a lot of progression, didn't have the time to continue this account, but I wanted to run through the wish list and show you kind of the updated wish list and a little bit of the logic behind why I chose the heroes that we do have on here. So let's start up here with the light bearers, guys. Now, Palmer is one of the absolute top priorities, guys. Still a super strong buffer. Might not be in the priority. I'm running with the awakened version of Belinda. Still kind of running there somewhat. A lot of times players are running Ivan in there as of now. Scarlet is number 2, guys. Scarlet is still such a clutch hero. If you're early AFK Arena, Scarlet is going to make a difference, but we are still seeing Scarlet in the Twisted Realm, the Cursed Realm, the Nightmare Corridor, still seeing a lot of utility, especially as the carry within that Lightbearer Tower. Super strong. And then we do have Rosaline. Now, Rose ultimately followed Scarlet for a while. Now following the awakened version of Belinda, we've seen a follow with the awakened version of Matria, or the version of Matria. We have seen Rosaline really as a staple hero for a considerable amount of time. We've also seen her running alongside Rem. A lot of different heroes that she's kind of been following with an incredible amount of utility within, again, a lot of different game modes. Then we break in Rowan, guys. Again, Rowan is still fitting into a lot of different formations. If you don't have all the heroes built as an energy, battery still works incredibly well. Might not be the best in slot, but still works well. Formations within the campaign works well. Tower works exceptionally well. But looking here, and I want to kind of go through this bottom 2 with the select heroes, because when you look at heroes like Gineas, Gineas really fell into one formation, which I don't even believe he's in at this point. Sonya was very short-lived. Maro can be effective in the tower, but overall not a ton of utility there. The next row, short of possibly even a mention of Peggy, not a lot of utility within those heroes either. When you look at Hendrik, when you look at Gwen, when you look at Lucius, the heroes pretty much down here are not used at all, with the exception of Rain. Rain is still being used for that 3 of 9 furniture, so you do have to have her ascended. But overall, guys, most of these heroes, short of being multiple stage within the tower formations, you're not going to find a lot of utility, and you're not really going to see them anywhere within formations, again, as you slowly build them out. Now, moving into the Maulers, we do have the tiny tank. So Naruko is being used in an incredible amount of formations as a buffer, as a damage dealer, as a hero, working incredibly well, again, in a ton of different places. Great to see the new heroes having a lot of utility and being placed in a lot of formations. Same with Cristillo, guys. Cristillo is still running the best in slot in a couple different formations, including the Nightmare Corridor. Mauler Tower, absolute carry like we've seen once upon a time with Entendre and a couple other heroes, which was super strong. When he came out of the gate, not many players used him. Then he actually found his place. He does require a considerable build out, but when you get him there, he does exceptionally well. Now, Anasta still kind of working in formation with the damage mitigation that she provides. Still, again, with the awakened version of Brutus, kind of run, starting to slowly being phased out of formations. But again, earlier game will work, which is the same with Kren, guys. Now, again, if you're not running all of the heroes, if you're not running massive heroes in formations, especially when it comes to the awakened heroes, Kren is still a huge damage dealer in those formations. I don't want you to look at, the best formations in AFK Arena, the whale comps, things of that nature, and just discount a lot of the utilities these heroes still do have, because not only are they still doing a lot of damage in formations, but they also have a ton of utility in different game modes, which is the same with Screg, guys. We see the invade, we see it with a lot of different teams, still doing pretty well, but again, it seems like Screg and the formations are kind of falling out a little bit within the invade. So again, looking at the bottom, Salakai is kind of tied to the tower right now. Alero doesn't have a use. Granite possibly for the instant crowd control. Skarath for the 5-pole, but again, the 5-pole doesn't seem very prevalent anymore. Taylor, even looking down here, guys, most of these heroes are not really used. Warwick has been phased out. Brutus possibly for the immunity, but even looking at your Entendre, again, has been kind of phased out at this point. Titus, not a lot of use. Satrana, not a lot of use. The original version of Sophia, again, not a lot of utility short of the tower for a majority of the heroes down here. Bringing us to the Wilders, we have Trishea, which is actually right there. So Trishea, very strong again in formations, very strong in the Wilder Tower. It does work incredibly well within the Nightmare Corridor. Also seeing the utility with her within the Cursed Realm. Very, very kind of dynamic hero. Does require, again, a significant build out, but we're seeing a lot of utility with the hero. Tamaris, he is still a very solid crowd control and buffer within formation. Still does work incredibly well. Still running again in a lot of formations. Same with Orin. Orin still running the best in slot. Sometimes running hand in hand with Crisio. Sometimes running in place of Crisio. But if you don't have the Awakened version of Thane, he is really the go-to. He is the cheaper version of the Awakened version of Thane. Now, Mishka, of course, still has a considerable amount of crowd control that we are seeing in formations. And then, of course, we have Leica. Now, one of the variations, guys, even down here, there are a couple heroes that I want to mention. Like Nevi does very well, guys. Nevi, again, is starting to see a lot less utility within game modes. Even Peanut, a star down here, not seeing a lot of play. Even Raku, I believe at this point, has been phased out of pretty much all of the best in slot formations. Still does a lot of utility and a lot of damage as a one single kind of one-off target. But again, not a lot of utility of what we're seeing right now. Lorzen still does carry a little bit of utility for the linking ability. But then when you look at the rest of these guys, Iran the 5-hole, again, not very prevalent. Crowd control right here with Gorvo. Even Saurus, guys, they're slowly getting phased out as we continue to go through and build a lot more heroes. This is absolutely going to change, which it is changing right now. Seeing a lot more utility. And again, investing in these heroes early, just because of the power creep, just because of the utility they bring in multiple game modes, having them even in earlier AFK arena is going to be game changing as you do make progression, because these are heroes that can absolutely dominate when it comes to the tower and when you start unlocking the formations in there. Now, looking at our Graveborns, we have Oden, again, very similar. Oden is still in some of the best in slot formations, still doing an incredible, incredible amount of damage in a very short amount of time. Now, one of the new additions, guys, is Ivan. Ivan is probably one of the best support heroes that we've seen, right on par with Liberta. Liberta, of course, being the Celestial Twin, which is super, super strong. But Ivan with the buffing, pretty much any formation that you're dropping Ivan in. And a lot of players, again, looking at a little bit of an earlier game, are dropping Ivan in with Daemon. Ivan actually buffs up Daemon. Daemon scales as the enemy gets stronger. It's a broken cycle, guys. If you're running Ivan with the Awakened version of Belinda, if you're running it with Baden, regardless of who you're running that support hero Ivan with, it is going to amplify the damage and the survivability that these heroes do possess. Now, Silas, still another one making a presence in a lot of different formations as a best in slot hero. Still has the attack buff, still has the immunity. Also with the damage mitigation cloud and the healing aspect, works incredibly well as the buffer. Then we do have Daemon, guys. Daemon still being used in a couple formations, especially when it comes to campaign, still using him in 51. Chapter 51, I was still using Daemon. But early game, guys, Daemon is the carry. Since you don't have access to Rem right now, Liberta, but very difficult to deal. Lucretia, of course, as you get a little bit further. But Daemon will be the absolute carry and still holds the gold star for the best carry in AFK Arena. And then we have Grez. Grez, as he continues to really hold on to the slots within AFK Arena, there are still a lot of best in slot formations that utilize Grez because of the minions, the shielding aspect, the damage that he puts out. Still, again, seeing a lot of utility. Now, looking down here at the Graveborn, kind of the same, guys. Edwin made his way into one formation. I don't even know how long he is going to be there. Kayleen, again, short of the tower. Same with Fane, same with Tresnar. These heroes have been slowly or entirely dropped out of formations at this point. We're not even seeing Desiro. We're not even seeing Hodgkin as a buffer. Since we've had so many support heroes coming out as of lately, we have seen a lot more of the newer heroes. Now, looking at Theowen, even looking at Torn, Isolde, even Baden, Kelthar, most of them short of the Thorin Cheese down here with Kelthar and Thorin. None of them are really being used. Even looking at Pharrell, guys, short of probably a niche or a one-off campaign formation, you're not going to see really the hero used that many places anymore, meaning that kind of streamlining the process. And again, if you're starting early into AFK Arena, really breaking out the wish list, there's a lot of these heroes, just taking it from the top, guys, that are going to be super, super successful. Number one, Rowan. Rowan still early game with those health pots. And if you get that signature item with the energy, makes a huge, huge difference. Rosline, of course, can follow whoever you have best in slot. Kren, of course, the crowd control, but Naruko early game works incredibly well. So does Mishka. Mishka is another hero, guys, incredibly, incredibly well. Leica works with one copy. And then down here, Ivan and Damon work exceptionally well. Unfortunately, Silas doesn't have a lot of what he needs to work. Even with Grez, guys, Grez early game does not work well. As you progress a little bit further and actually build some of these heroes out, you'll find the utility of them goes up exponentially. All right, guys, so that'll do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.